This particular Shanti mantra I was thinking when I was listening to Daji giving talks all over the place. And, there's no place for pride, it says, this mantra. No self-importance, no arguments, where decorum and dignity are always maintained. And Daji exemplifies this. He teaches us in a very beautiful manner that touches all hearts. And he has dialogues with so many people in total sincerity and also listens truly without argument. So may we also learn to teach and receive in such a manner. So I will start by sharing my slides. Right, so the topic is this: Heartfulness Way, an evolutionary path to holistic well-being. We all we know that we've all over these years, as Babuji said, we have lived in the world for so many years. And just a second. Yeah, we lived in there were for so many thousands of years, and we still want to live in it for another million years, maybe. He asks us seekers, why not adopt a system where we can become one with the source? One, he says, a human being is one who penetrates, who has a vision in himself. If you don't do that, you are not even a human being. So wellness, normally for people, it comprises of 8 interdependent dimensions. Normally, physical, we care about a body, not, just sometimes it should be caring now and also for the future. We care about growing intellectually, means we develop our mind, lifelong learning. Emotionally, always trying to feel positive and maintaining healthy relationships, even doing social service. And then spiritual well-being, purpose, your value, the meaning for your own life. Vocational, of course, contributing your skills, your talents to work. That is something that's whatever is meaningful to you. And financial, you have to manage your resources and live within your means. Environment, making a commitment for the healthy planet. This Taji is already leading the way. So when we think of all these 8, we normally aim for personal harmony. It feels something that feels good to us. And in our day-to-day life, we actually, without sometimes not being aware, we're actually trying to live up to our highest purpose. When you may be aware, you may not be aware. And even the smaller things that we do, we are actually trying to fulfill our higher purpose. So when we talk about weaving destiny, in the worldly perspective, we want a good, comfortable life. It is all in the material life, and we strive for it. But from the spiritual perspective, what kind of destiny does Heartfulness Way mean? Or what do we mean about it? That is a very universal and spiritual world and spiritual harmony. A wise person. So a heart which is pure and balanced, he can weave his destiny towards that universal harmony. So at our level, the guiding principle normally is our heart. In the universal level, it is God. So when we want to refine our consciousness to the process of transformation, what are we going to do? We cannot just wish. I wish too. I was like, we can wish like we were master. We can wish like there's so many saints. We can't just wish it. We need a spiritual practice that contributes to our evolution. To become a noble being, we need this spiritual practice. So life on earth is an opportunity to evolve. And if we narrow it to human life, how do we evolve? I think Daji recently touched upon Homo sapiens. He was telling about Homo sapiens, means a wise, humane being. He said our human evolution is not just about growing stronger, it is becoming wiser, humane, and divine beings. And evolution is normally two forces, right? I mean, pulling from the front is pushing from the back. And maybe the first individual had pulling from the front. But as man created this large past, for himself, then the impressions now are pulling back from the behind. So he has a pull in front and the anti-evolutionary pull from the back, which is, all our impressions, or all our baggage. Then what happens? We become powerless. So normally, if you leave it just to natural evolution, it's going to take a very slow time, very, very long. So it is the master of caliber who can remove all these impressions, and so that there's no resistance from us, and the power, evolutionary power, can propel us forward. So the primary feature in Sajma and Heartfulness is the master's responsibility to facilitate the evolution of the seekers. Imagine that. So it is his responsibility. And of course, transformative effect of yogic transmission has been a very mystical thing. But under Heartfulness, it has become available to everybody, all humanity, open, freely and free. So what is that? That is evolution or revolutionary? It's because it's dramatic. It's a dramatic thing that Heartfulness gives. It is a chance to change in a short period, a qualitative change in us in a short period. And through all these simple practices of Heartfulness, we move towards that blueprint of our higher selves. This is the noble goal of Heartfulness that has for us. Heartfulness has this goal for us. Let's go forward. Now yoga, we talk about yoga because it provides this very vast potential for personal and collective. And in Heartfulness, we always, more than personal, they aim for the collective human evolution. What is this purpose of yoga? It is for the expansion of the consciousness to its ultimate potential, so that we become one with that ultimate state of all existence. All the 35 elements of yoga, the sadhana chatusthya, is all taken up. We won't be going into that today, but there's also, it's important to know that there is no evolution without the refinement of the subtle bodies. So the subtle bodies are the ego, intellect, mind, consciousness, and transcendence of the 5 energy sheets. As the subtle body evolves, then we develop an expanded consciousness, wisdom, intuition, inspiration, creativity, selfless love. So these are the qualities of being a noble divine being. So that with Heartfulness Way, we undergo an authentic way of evolution by way of experience, because it's not just knowledge, not that you listen to me, it's or the books we read, or I just speaking. It is authentic because we experience, and therefore it is becomes part of us. Nobody can take it away from us. A route to a holistic well-being also combines ancient wisdom, we know this, yoga, and also modern science. And we'll touch a little on that, yoga and neuroscience. And then we will touch on a little bit of that. So during that interview with Dr. Rudolph, I was telling you about Dr. Rudolph and Daji, they talked about how there's a lot of trash made in the brain. Dr. Rudolph was telling about it. And why does it form? Because normal physiological function also forms, but more than that, we tend to build up garbage for other reasons. And if you don't clean it out, then it triggers inflammation. So plaques, or somebody call it plaques and tangles, they happen, and these cause dementia, Alzheimer's. So how does the body get rid of this trash? You can see here, it is by the glial cells, the astrocytes. When we sleep, we trigger them, and they go around and do some cleanup, housekeeping, but sometimes they also become terrorists. If they see something weak or not in order, they also eat the normal or weaker cell. And during sleep also, the brain constricts by itself so that the flow of this lymph of this trash goes out. But if it's too much, then it can't. It just becomes just trapped, and starts inflammation. So what do we do then? What are we talking about? He also mentioned about synaptic reserve. Synaptic reserve. This thing here is synaptic vesicles. They're forming, and these are the reserves, and this is the ones that are being used. And this is the nerve cells. They are like this. And at these ends here, these neurotransmitters are being released all the time. Right now, even you're looking and doing, or maybe you're holding a phone, I don't know what you're doing. It's neurotransmitters are being released so that you can sit or respond to anything in your body. And your brain also is going on, hopefully listening and firing there. Okay. Now, what did he say? That chemicals here, we need, it's very important for us, this one. Without these synapses here, the cells cannot function. We cannot pass the signals. All right. So when he's particularly said, Dr. Rudolph, when we reduce stress, when we exercise, when we are open-hearted, we can interact easily with people, and we can learn new things. Then we build up the synaptic reserves. It is very important for our brain and every cell in our body. Right, so in the brain, we have a default mode circuit, default mode. It makes us who we are, especially ego-wise. If we obsess about things, the past, the future, the most trash is made in the brain when we do that. We sing our energy thinking about something we actually cannot control. Or if we are inflexible, we are cynical, we are judgmental, we have prejudice, we are stubborn, or the lay word is what, the stubborn goat or stubborn mule or stubborn. That kind, if we are like that, that is a hard wiring of the brain. And this causes a lot of stress and kills cells. It causes inflammation. So when we are inflexible, we get stressed. Why is it? Because we are getting hurt. We are thinking everybody's hurting us because we are inflexible. So we are causing the stress and we are causing this rubbish in our brains. Neuroplasticity is very important. It manifests changes in our abilities and changes also in the structure of the physical brain. Neural connections, new ones are formed or refined or weakened. So Dr. Tanji said, love, kindness, service is the key that connects the brain to the heart. And this is in line with the evolution of the brain. So how close it is to what we are learning in spirituality. So neuroscience is confirming what has been always taught in heartfulness. So this plasticity, it can shrink or thicken. So all this is very important, and it adapts itself, to good or bad experiences. And every piece of information, everybody we meet, all makes this impression in our brains. And because it can, adapt, it's actually a wonderful thing. It is just like, we can practice something new when we are practicing something new, even in heartfulness or in anything in the life. The neural pathways, the brain, it gives you new pathways. You were always inflexible, but now you want to be a bit flexible. The brain cooperates and makes new ways for you. Okay, today I will be, every time we do it a little bit, then it makes this new way, and it slowly becomes a normal thing for you. Just like we practice games or we practice music, so that's how it happens. So constantly challenging ourselves is good. Don't do the same jigsaw puzzle. Do something new, do something different. And this helps us for brain plasticity. Meditation, of course, helps us in this process. Heartfulness practices, as to quote Taji, he uses the word mental gymnastics. It gives good mental gymnastics for this neuroplasticity. That means flexibility and ability to find new ways to do things. That heartfulness helps us do that, and effortlessly. Now let's talk about epigenetics. Epigenetic is like this guy who's controlling which genes get on, which genes get off. It's on top of the genes. So it tells, okay, you make this, now I'm going to switch you off. Then I switch you on, switch the other one off, and I switch this one on. So, but it's useful in that, body when we were, be embryo and we're making new cells. So this epigenetic controls. So we use this same cell, but it is making liver, it's making lungs, it's making the heart, it's making all kinds of cells. So it's on, off, on, off, on. So it's very important in our body also. But this DNA is our blueprint, the whole business of our life. But they have found when they research that this DNA actually, if it's stressed, or there's stress, it shrinks. The DNA, the cell, if they've actually put it out of the body. The same person is here going under something stressful. They found that cell from that person out there is also showing undergoing stress, maybe it shrinks. Whereas something is good and he's very happy, that cell is relaxed. It's not connected, it's out there in some dish, and yet it shows. So it responds. That means that cell has its own awareness. It has its own consciousness. It is aware by itself. It's not that it's not nothing. It's our cells, So it has those things. And when Daji was saying, when we are completely relaxed after heartfulness meditation, the heartfulness practices, then at the cellular level, we have it's actually the significant change, a cellular intelligence is said of well-being. The cell is well by itself. And our heartfulness practices go right into the cell. So epigenetics always talks about what your environment does to your genes and what does it mean in everyday life. So you have our diet affects us, uh, seasons, weather, disease changes. It can change, mutate a genes. Toxic, of course, we know this. It has tendency for cancer, drugs abuse, financial status. Probably if you're in dire straits, you are very, depressed, there's a tipping and mutation. And all this microbiome is very important. All right, social interactions, abusive plays, something. So that is, it affects us. And epigenetics is the genes are perfectly fine. It's whether it switches something on or it triggers something on for cancer, and then it can be passed through the generation after generation. So for us, it's I mean, if you think about it, it talks about communities, it's trying to create this through epigenetics. That's just my opinion. And our parents' experience, our grandparents and parents, and then it is passed down to the child, and the child has affinity of this, they're liking this environment of meditation, and so this person will be looking for that because there's a tag there. Dr. Meenakshi Panchali, there's a very nice talk by her. Interesting the way she tells also. If you all want it, I can later post it to you all. And I just share something. There was something in Brazil study just recently where there was, in the Brazil, they found the Brazil society is the most anxious in the world. And these behaviors derive from the culture that resulted in constant anxiety. And they triggered disturbances, which it's not genetic, but it is part of genetics, is it? The functions of attention, memory, language, abstraction, behavior, everything went off the normal uh, parameters. They were creating an ill society because of what they experienced, exactly like what Master says. Whether the mothers the mothers were facing stress, but here the whole society in a certain place, it became that all these children became that they can't even talk intelligibly. So this is even if you're born to a great saint, if your environment is no good, you're not going to grow into that potential. So, like genetics, destiny is both fixed and flexible. So this allows evolution. I think there is one beautiful thought this morning, just relevant to this talk. Let's just go ahead. Here we are talking about flight and fight. I think we've heard. I think most of you know already what it is. It's just that when we feel threatened, those days it was wars. Now it is a different kind of wars in the house, or we react. We don't respond anymore. We react, overreact. We don't take the pause, and all through this stressful media, social media, unrealistic expectations for ourselves, for the family, jobs, unrealistic deadlines. All these are create, and there's a sort of chaos in us. So at this time, those hormones, adrenaline, this fight and flight, it is released, and our body becomes it starts responding to that. So the rest and the digest one is parasympathetic that Master is telling about. The vagus, it's call it the smart vagus nerve, and it knows how to bring about harmony, equilibrium, and it tames the stress. It tells, okay, no need adrenaline, come down a bit, and it plays a sort of calming tune. But when heartfulness goes in, it takes over everything. It can conduct a whole orchestra. So heartfulness practice, it improves the song that we sing. Okay, we don't come out and but we are striving there not to shout and not to create a nuisance. When we talk, there is something, or our whole vibration energy is like a symphony, clarity and symphony, instead of the clashing. So this shield was sent by Dr. Rudolph, and it also corresponds to what we are learning. So it's just to show about neuroscience and yoga, how it is so similar. They're finding out that yoga, what are the results of that, and now they're teaching. Yes, they're teaching us. So move out of the default mode of the brain. Whenever this ego wants to reinforce highway or my way, or what highway and or the highway, when you do that, this dementia is going to start, because a lot of stress. Sleep, if we don't have enough, of course, we have the spaces within that system for the trash to go out. It's going to be a problem. This amyloid and tau proteins, which are associated with dementia, they increase. And repeated stress. Handling stress is talking about repeated stress takes its toll. Occasional stress, I don't think anything, right? And when eustress is a good stress, right? I think the master was talking about why let the students study, let them have some stress. It's a eustress. Traveling is a eustress. Sometimes it's a, you run into so many things, but that's a eustress. A good workout, endorphins are released, and whatever it is, whatever works for you, their motivation. Some people have, the roller coaster is like a eustress, like they're so it's hard, but then they love it so much. For me, it's like a torture. um, Interaction, it means don't be keeping yourself isolated. You can be alone but not lonely, so you don't isolate ourselves. uh, Exercise reduces inflammation, triggers enzymes, it clears amyloid, and what we need to learn new things, and so that the neural network is established. It's a really gift from nature that you can change your neural pathways. And then the diet, this our gut bacteria is very, very important actually to regulate our health. So neuroscience alleges that yoga or meditation aids people into becoming calmer and better versions of themselves. Okay, so this is very hand in hand with what heartfulness teaches. So this just for you to know what amyloid, this thing kind of thing. When I didn't know, I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not geneticist. I'm whatever I'm putting it here. It's all master's work, but only thing, just look up some things. So this is how it looks. So at least we can imagine what it is. And you can tangle up, this all is disrupted, and we are going in for Alzheimer's. Okay. And if you keep thinking negatively, this is also end up with this. So let's talk about this 8-limbed yoga of Patanjali, known as Ashtanga Yoga. It's a well-balanced approach towards achieving integration of physical, mental, and spiritual health. So the natural yearning of the soul, Master says, is to be free from any bondage. This yearning for freedom is the core of human purpose. This is where yoga becomes essential for the soul to be free. It allows the soul to become one with that universal soul and live in universal consciousness. And quoting Babuji, what is yoga, he says? It is a perception of reality. And what is the soul? It is that spark of reality. So this is the essence of satsang. The French, they call it egregore, I think Daji mentioned, or group mind, whereas Daji called it a group heart. When there's harmony between the hearts in all the world, that is yoga. And this can trigger a new society, which Daji is already establishing communities in the world. Heartfulness Way offers very simple practices to achieve this balanced state. and it is already been distilled of anything that is unnecessary. It is free, from anything that is totally unnecessary, very simple, and so that everyone, can experience the well-being. So Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga has 8 steps. Heartfulness, we start with meditation. This is so that we can practice yama, and yama, which is at the beginning, in a masterful way. Because in meditation, we can understand and discern that it is so important for our evolution. Also, we don't do pranayama because pranayama means that expanding life force. Whenever we receive the transmission, we receive the highest force into ourselves, into our hearts, and from there it expands throughout the system. So we don't do pranayama in this system. So evolving spiritually, our dependency on these outer koshas, it does reduce, right? We refine it, but we must still care for the body because we are in the body, and the body is made up of this is physical, emotional, and mental body. So we have to care for it. So in that message that Daji gave, he stressed on that take care of yourselves. It's not just sitting and meditating. When we are, upset or angry or irritated, these koshas, manomaya, the pranayama, and the anamaya, they start being riled up, energy field, and the thoughts become erratic, and then all the physical gets, the BP goes up, your heart will be racing, indigestion, because the mind is not neutral. We are not yet there. The mind is not, it observes inside, my body, this thing is happening, and it triggers, no, am I going to fight this, or am I run away? I will go to the room and lock myself, or I'm going to go and have a, fight or whatever with, what am I going to do? So the mind is not neutral. It's because it has to take care. Remember, the ego comes in to protect you. So when the neurotransmitters at this time, then we are being triggered, and we are, it is not a good environment that is happening inside your body. We are getting unhealthy. So, all right, Babuji said that thoughts consume us, and because thoughts are energy, the quality affects, the intensity affects us. So mental, physical, emotional, important. So here, neurotransmitters, we talked about, the passing of the neurotransmitters from the synapse, one to the one end of the neuron, the nerve cell, to the other. We need that. So there are a lot of they're always working there right now. It's just going on. They look after everything in your body, on also the psychological functions, the mood, the fear, the happiness, that also, as you said, is going on. And the 3 major neurotransmitters, dopamine, noradrenaline, serotonin, and the endorphin, they control the feel-good effects. It affects the brain function, and it works against neurological disorders. So it is important here. 3, we need more of this. When the neurotransmitters, they are released, these neurotransmitters we're talking about, dopamine or serotonin, then we feel a sense of pleasure, we feel well-being, we feel less stress. The pain, as you say, the pain also gets less. If you notice, sometimes we have pain, but when we go and exercise, that pain decreases. So that is because of all this that are released. And it also promotes wound healing and bone health. So these are important for us. And endorphins, of course, they release when you are having exercise or sex or eating chocolates and meditating. So this heartfulness and yoga makes that adrenaline, those stress hormones, go down. This is how we can naturally increase all the good hormones. Okay, I think this one is pretty easy. We'll just go on. Circadian rhythm is quite interesting. So Daji also kept on talking about the rhythm, and I think and Babuji also talks about the biological rhythm many times in the whispers also. Everything has circadian rhythms there, and circadian rhythm affects our sleep, our health, and the nervous system. So every plant, every animal has a 24 biological clock. And even some colonies of bacteria, they also have this 24-hour thing, and they need sunlight to make photosynthesis. They wait for the sun, so they have to follow that biological. But the bacteria in your gut that's living in the dark thing there, that one doesn't bother about the sun. Okay, it's only very cozy, very warm. That also has 24 hours. Some of them have 24-hour cycle, and they fight for their spot, even though it's just they live only 24 hours. They fight for that own spot in our gut. It is an internal biological clock, that circadian rhythm. Its maintenance, and it is also important for melatonin. Melatonin, it is a sleep hormone, and it's important in controlling all the physiology of the body. Melatonin, it also acts as an anti-cancer and also anti-aging. So that's why I say get your beauty sleep. Melatonin is important for sleep. It's released 2 hours or something before you sleep. And this protects against the degeneration of the nerves in the brain also. So when we sleep early and deeply, then the brain has a chance to detoxify and clear for the rubbish. And this also helps synaptic regeneration. You know, the synapses, those are really, really important. So anything that helps with synaptic reserve generation, this is very important. And we have a master clock there in our brain, the master one. So it sends out, it coordinates everything. Do babies have circadian rhythm? Does anyone want to answer? Do babies have circadian rhythm, newborn babies? Nobody? Anybody? Nobody. Okay. They don't have. That's why they keep waking up and troubling their parents in the middle of the night. All of you have gone through it. But after 4 or 5 months, then the parents are having good sleep. So before that, they are not established. They just wake up, they do everything everything at every time, isn't it? So people over the age of 60, what about them? They notice that your circadian rhythm is changing. You may go to bed earlier and you wake up also earlier. So, and anyway, that's good for when you want to do meditation, because you're supposed to do it before dawn. And in the evening when we do cleaning, that it is the detox time. And this follows the flow of our body flow, internal flow, external energy flow. So in the morning, the clock gets up, it tells you, okay, get up, and then this digestive juices start happening. The hormones prepare us, the cortisol, the light. So the light is the one which starts preparing us. It is the sunlight. And it resets our clock, the blue light. And in the evening, the light center goes off, unless you are somebody who likes to stay on. So this light, our normal light, is a major time giver to us. It affects the alignment of the circadian rhythm. Long winters, as you know, in cold countries, people get depressed because without the sun, we do get depressed, because sunlight is a very important thing to produce that serotonin, the feel-good hormone that we talked about. The sunlight is very important. And also medicines are given at a certain time, so that because seeing the circadian, how it goes, they prescribe medicines according to that. And, even on some researchers have found circadian rhythm for what we look up on the internet at different times of the day. So if you're at lunchtime, you probably click on Grab and, the whole flooding there of that. And maybe in the evening and something else, maybe you're looking up something else, Facebook maybe, or Facebook is for weekends, I don't know. But so at different times of day, even what we do on the internet, they've studied, and there is a sort of cycle. Maybe at night, somebody will feel pain, and we may look up on that. That's for older people. Younger people, I think they'll be doing something else. So when you disrupt this biological rhythm, our body, our whole system, the heart, the digestive system, endocrine, everything gets affected. Of course, if you need to study when you're young, when you need time to do your project, you can't say and go to sleep because of your circadian rhythm. You do what you have to do. Right, this one, I'm talking about mindset. Your mindset matters. We all know that a neuroscience associate, subconscious, runs the show most of our lives. We have a subconscious book. There's a rule book which we follow. We don't know that. In your brain, there's a rule book. We were born with it, and we are already conditioned. We already start our lives with it. Probably your children will start, we notice they started a certain way. We already from the previous samskaras and conditioning of this life, we become hardwired to do in a certain way. And those things make a really hardwired path. Okay, and you can't see it because you can't see your mind. You can't see your mind why it's doing this because you're there. Your mind is here. If you stand far apart to see, then you may be able to see what is creating all these habits or what is creating all these thoughts. And because we can't do that, it's so difficult to come out of these habits which we like to get rid of even, which are not even useful. No? So every single second you are experiencing this small, minute amount of the world. When you think of the world and our thing, something may just happen here. It's just small compared to the whole world. But then these are like big things to us, and then we make like, in our minds we're stitching it. They finally you'll end up with a patchwork quilt. I'm suddenly imagining one patchwork quilt. You got all kinds of things unconnected, but then everything is true to you because your mind says so. It's my perception. Therefore, that person but don't know where is also the cause of my thing, which is probably unrelated. And this Velcro and Teflon here is a very nice way. The brain is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones, even though most of your experience is just very neutral or positive. I didn't get the front row of the show because that woman cut in or something. But I got into the show, I could see the show. But still, it is a very negative. It stays there. The Teflon one, everything good, we are taking for granted. A lot of things we take for granted. And the condition that we get every time when we meditate, that is like Teflon, sometimes it just disappears. That's why they keep the master tells, please hold on to it, because for us it's like I'm one of those, sometimes you open your eyes and then it's gone or it's forgotten after some time. So one more thing is resentment, of course. Resentment also sticks, we keep it's something like holding on to the brain waste. We're just keeping on, it may be years, but we keep it, and that's causing this brain waste. Remember this is important because you want not to end up in dementia. You don't want to be, your brains don't want to be working well. So it is resentment, like the story by Dalai Lama. Or he was telling a quote, I think. He said, "You kicked the dog, and after 3 years, maybe the dog sees you, it may bite you, but for us, we will. If something happens, maybe the dog bit me, but I keep it there and have a great. 3 years I'm holding that resentment because of that fellow. He sent the dog to me. This one, that dog, I am the one who said, how can you have the dog there? All kinds of things. And then we start the rubbish. So that's the trash he's talking about. So what is the answer now? The challenge to avoid this, we want that, isn't it? We only want to know how to avoid this waste. We don't want to be quit with dementia very early. So Babuji said, the world cannot be changed for your sake, but you can be changed in such a way that for you, the world is different now. Right? So things are, we know that saying, right, that a human life is so difficult to get. Desire for liberation is difficult. The path and the enlightened guide, Adi Shankara, he said that. And it's all there right now in your hands. So in the heartfulness way, when we practice this meditation day after day, we are getting rid of all this rubbish. We are trying to make our hearts free. We don't reject anything. We just follow that guidance from our masters. So they allow us to take it at our pace because they know our struggles also. But we have to be amenable to this program being changed. We have to be willing. They can take us all the way, but we have to be willing. So this human heart is the way. It's the divine presence is the originator of all that's good. If we allow it, evolutionary, it is evolutionary. If we allow it, so then we blossom and our life takes on a meaning which is otherwise like a dream to us. So why is it evolutionary? Because it needs your conscious participation. And Daji was once saying in Ahmedabad, I think ashram, when the abhyasis sit for meditation and the transmission is given, the monkeys will come to the fence and will sit with closed eyes. So he was asking, if a monkey's mind can do it, then why not the humans? So that is so interesting that they are already being affected by this transmission. Yes, we is telling us, please do it. So Ajmak, he's been telling us, you have to create a new personality out of your past selves. And he talks about making newer versions, right? He always talks about making newer versions so that we can really be free to be our true selves in the first place. So we need to have that sincere abhyas. This quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, he said, scientists, they have a lot of technology to deal with every problem in the planet, but we are just not capable. Psychologically, we are not capable because we are not peaceful, we are not awake, and we are not enlightened enough. So a whole collective change of consciousness is needed to bring about any change, a way of new life. And Daji Impresses kept on telling us mental pollution is the main cause of all kinds of pollution. And therefore, so that meditation is a vaccine to prevent all these impressions. And we can be fully then in the moment to make decisions which are in harmony with everyone. In heartfulness, we are learning to regulate our thoughts in an evolutionary way. We use the heart to regulate the mind. So the goal of yoga science is actually to calm the mind without distortion, so that that whole divine vision we may mirror that divine vision that in the universe, that you are a mirror of that. There's a shift of consciousness and we don't see any difference. It's all one. So during meditation, we suggest the feeling of the divine light, but actually slowly the heart disappears, but that consciousness is the one that remains, and that helps us to see clearly. And as it gets purified, the consciousness, and there's expansion happening, and this always happens with heartfulness meditation. So we are regulating our thoughts as is evolutionary. The brain evolves into a more mental vitality with heartfulness meditation. Whenever it connects with the heart, the heart-mind field has smaller mental vitality. And this reduction of all the toxins. Right. This is actually the practices. I won't really go too much into it. It's just that it's a real recipe for removing waste, increasing that good hormone, serotonin, all the feel-good hormones, and most important, to keep your nerves in a very healthy state, your cells in a very healthy state, a very relaxed state. When your cells is relaxed, they express their genes, whatever they're supposed to do, they are able to do it. And a much needed brain health and immune system boost is Heartfulness Way. We are actually gifted with different conscious levels. Every day we are getting it. It's just whether we hold on or it's like Teflon, we have to let it go. And the vital ingredient here is yogic transmission. There's a lot of subtle vibration, in our heart, and this sort of, it melts away all the hardened thoughts, and that's what brings about this transformation. It's not that it's hard to do, as you said, habits or things that we want to get rid of. It's hard, but this subtle vibration of divine transmission, that's the one that is working and helping us. Inside each cell, there are molecules vibrating. It is not that, it's every part, every cell it is having. So the whole effect is like a big, as I said, like an orchestra. That's what heartfulness does. And there's a whispers sentence. It says, all your cells vibrate differently. Do not disregard this grace bestowed on you of being able to access the best of sadhana. Now, cleaning, it removes out the waste. It irons out the wrinkles in our subconscious. The book where we have put the dog ears. Okay, it tries to, take out your dog ears this way, trying to iron it out. And then it removes all the negative vibrations and all the toxins. We have a healthy system. Remember the golden liquid? It's also, as it goes up, and those all about the nervous spinal cord, neural network, sorry. So reading our literature, it sets your attitude. What's the attitude I'm going to have today? Now we have the BHED, right? Be heartful every day. All the attitudes. As soon as we read, we are getting inspired. And through all these things, what is important? We get freedom. We are free. We are getting free from what we don't want. We want to build our lives. We can choose the direction. We are not stuck in that same way. That is the beauty of this. So the result is calmer heartbeats, breathing rates, circadian rhythms. All these are measured by science and confirmed. There's something on swastika. I think later I will ask Brother Kumar to play that very short video. Prayer meditation, I think we know, it's just that we build our synaptic reserve, because you're surrendering, you're very relaxed, you're surrendering, you're in an innocent state. Your nerve cells are wonderfully relaxed. Constant remembrance again releases all the good hormones, because we adjust our behavior. When we're in remembrance, we adjust our behavior. We forget our tendencies, our demands, our anger, because if you are really in remembrance, you can't do things which are against what we are not expected to do. And centering is possible only through meditative practices. I think Taji stands stressed on this. So everything has a very positive effect on us. This gut, a little bit on gut biome, is just saying that it is very important. Our gut microbe, our gut germs, they are very, very important. And they also make serotonin is also produced in the gut, and it influences all the mood, sleep, and all. And when we eat in constant divine thought, then we settle into that very calm mode. And the impulse of our intention, when we have that, it affects the food. It combines the food and changes it and helps our physical, mental, and spiritual health. Now, this meditation, just to show, this study is so recent, June 24th. June 24th. Here. Just very open, I saw it. And in Harvard, and meditation research program, it is no longer a fringe activity. I think we all know it's already a mainstream practice. Mobile apps, we are already doing it. And it enables a new era in meditative practice because it's already available on smartphones. Meditation helps improve psychological well-being and deep psychological transformation. There's a shift in mental perspective, a sense of well-being. This all comes when you accept things, when you learn to accept for those in mental problems. They advise meditation because there's change from depth. And I'm just speaking a small one is acceptance. That last time we cannot accept, but when we realize, just like how God closes one door and he opens a small window, so we can deal with it. Okay, I can't get this, but it's okay. A profound shift in mental, a sense of transcendence. So this is an article by Daji. It just correlates so well. Everything is just, transformation, transcendence. It's just for knowledge. Okay. Now, when this is yoga ends in the creation of a new mind, a new man, and a new world. This is in the book Authentic Yoga by Deshpande. We have a really golden opportunity of this life, and we have a high guide, and we have the Heartfulness Way, as we said. The individual with higher consciousness and higher evolution, we can create a whole ripple of changes all over the place, and very creative, very inspired, very positive. We know all the terms, we know all the adjectives, and always with peace in the background. So Taji invites us to imagine what a group of hearts, with loving unity and peace can create. Peace is, of course, very mandatory because peace, not only within us, it helps us, but it is a silent thread that connects to everyone in the world. Heartfulness Way, while expanding our consciousness, affects all aspects of our life. Again, authentic change. We make a change. We are making a change in our epigenetic. So hopefully increased consciousness and understanding, then be passed on to future generations. Also, during this lifetime, we are creating a vibratory blueprint for what determines our journey onward after death. So this is what is going side by side. We are creating that. We may not think about it, but our subtle bodies and soul, we carry our spiritual wealth, and our guide is preparing us for this. And for those who need to come back here, recently the Chariji nice quote, those who come back here, who need to come back here for whatever reason, you won't be the same, but you will be that consciousness that you carry in your meditation. Right? So Raji says, please start young. He said, not that there's no use when we start old, but but good to start when you're young. And last, this is important. This inner harmony for us is more important because external harmony is not in our hands. So we have to be on constant guard. This is Taji's recent words. With our lifestyle, we have to be on constant guard because with our behavior, for our peace, for our expansion of consciousness. Because if we are not careful, it hurts us only. So be careful with your lifestyle. And the higher the frequency of your vibrations, the lighter you feel. What has the highest vibration? Joy and love. So the vibrations happening every part of body is not outside, it's every molecule, cells, everything is vibrating. So how can we raise? This is very important. So go out in nature, be in tune with its simplicity, exposure to natural nature, the ions, negative ions, green spaces always make us feel good, and practice gratitude, acceptance. We always think, that happiness is just always 2 steps away, and the negativity starts coming, We never seem to be getting to that happiness. It's always 2 steps away. But if you really take a step back and see the big picture, and you can see that there is so much beauty, especially now with heartfulness, we can realize there's so much beauty and wonder to appreciate in our lives. Practicing appreciation, gratitude, and generosity, and not only to people you like, to everybody. Acceptance leads to healthy relationships and helps refine our ego. Because if people hate us all the time, our consciousness is going to be affected. Our vibration is going to be affected. Our body is going to be affected. Any feeling of lack is going to be an obstacle to feeling high of vibrations. And there's a quotation saying, our tribe is our vibe. That means who are you hanging out with? Who are you mixing with? Take responsibility for that. And also take responsibility to what you speak, how you speak. Your voice is connected to your inner self. Lalaji has written, sound is a manifestation of consciousness. So we create the destiny for ourselves with our everyday thoughts. Raji said, if the thought doesn't spark good feeling in you, just drop it. And we have a choice when we get up. Are we going to have good thoughts or negative thoughts? We have that choice. Constant remembrance, again, carrying yourself in the center. And we don't worry too much about what's going to happen next, the anxiety is not there. You just we will be doing what we ought to be doing. Solitude and silence is so important. How can you even think when you don't have silence all that time? You don't need noise or TV or something. How can you contemplate Dajiasas when it's not even a silent moment? How can I even capture a thought? So when you let silence slip away, you are letting something important for your health, your mind, your body, you're letting that slip. Every time there is noise, it is not a good thing. So please remember, it's good for blood pressure and everything else. Silence, inner silence. And do what you can do to make others happy. Much joy is felt when you help others and not choosing who to help. I think in the recent interview, Taji answered so explicitly when somebody asked, like, what to do with the Indian students who come here, how do we see they're protected? He said it won't work. He said you're only thinking of one community. So it's coming to the final, I think. This simplicity. In the 1982 Basant message, Babuji described how the being in the existence of the soul weaves its destiny with ultimate only by cultivating purity and simplicity. So this is a very mighty power. Simplicity is not a weakness. Purity is not a weakness. They are very mighty. They are very powerful. Purity and simplicity keep that mind strong by saving it from unnecessary wasting time thinking of nothing really significant. It depletes our energy. It adds waste to our brain. Remember that always. And we are gifted with so many riches in our spiritual life, And ultimate wisdom is the first and highest gift of divinity. That divinity, it sees as a 360 consciousness and sees one in all. That whole vastness is your true self. And all this can happen if we are watchful of ourselves, inner centering. The heart remains centered, and centering, he says, is only possible through meditative practices. So again, coming back to practice, and what does it mean everyday life when you remain simple and pure? What does it mean anyway? It just means we are not pulled here and there by so many unnecessary things. We are not swayed in this. We are balanced. We are not in that emotional turbulence when we are simple and pure, and we remain clear and in the present, and we can have a freshness about us when we are simple. In terms of lifetime, of course, it takes us to the center of our being, and the journey continues. And everything here we spoke is always about love. It says, I think remember a long time back, it said, we go to the center on the beam of love. So whose love? Ours and the Master's. So I'll end here with leaving you with this slide, wearing the crest or jewel of love, resonating with Master. So this beautiful crest, that is the highest jewel that we need to wear to go on this journey. Oh, thank you. I will stop sharing.